Hey, what's going on? It's Instructor Mike. All right, so let's talk about the 5 W's of a legally justified shooting, okay? Y'all went to the range. It's pretty good, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right, here we go. So, 5 W's of a legally justified shooting. It's who, what, where, when, why, and yes, even how. Okay? Give y'all a little time to write that down. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. So, if you ever find yourself in a shooting situation after you've discharged that pistol, okay? When the police come, or better yet, after you get through discharging that pistol and you get on the phone after you've gotten to safety and you get on the phone and you call the police, there are at least 4 things you need to give, because you're under so much physiological and psychological stress. Your mind's going to be going everywhere, especially depending upon your experience. If you've never done this before, it may freak you out, all right? 1, shots fired, right? Or whatever you had to do. Rape in progress, shots fired, carjacking, right? Give the location, 79th and Normal, and give that location twice. 79th and Normal, 79th and Normal, right? Also, say that you want police and medical attention, right? Some people would argue that you should give way more information, like your clothing description, a description of the subject. Look, the more you begin to talk, the more you're going to be compelled under that same stress to say more than you should. When I was a cop, it would be very simple. 435, shots fired, 79th and Normal, Normal 79th, send me back up. Keep it simple. The main story is for when the response gets there, right? And then you may have to say some things, okay? So remember, event, location, ask for police and medical assistance, and that is what you repeat. Dispatchers may have 9,500 questions to ask you after that. Stick to those 4 things. Police, give the event, what occurred, shots fired. You're asking for medical attention, the police, and then the location. And repeat those things. Now, when they arrive, your statement should be when they come to you, all right? You shouldn't have that gun in your head, but if you do, I understand some things happen. When they get there, comply with what they tell you. Now, after you comply and they begin to ask you what happened, that's the worst thing for you to ever give a statement. Ever give a statement. Your statement should be, officer, I was the victim of a crime and I was forced to defend myself. I will give you a statement later in the presence of my lawyer. I like my lawyer and medical attention, please. That's it. That should be the statement you should remember. Now, when it comes down to that time where you do have to talk to someone, eventually you will get legal representation. I want you to understand that attorney-client privilege exists, okay? Whatever you say to your attorney is privilege. He cannot, under most circumstances, reveal that information to anyone else, okay? So we're talking about the 5 W's of a legally justified shooting. 1, who? Who did you feel that you had to shoot? That's important. It's important that you are able to identify who your threat was, all right? What? Now, in what tool did you use? Did you use a knife? Did you use a bat? Did you use a gun? In this case, we're talking about a shooting. So you used a what? A gun. Okay? So, what law gave you permission to do what you felt you needed to do? Right? This is important. What law? Use of force. In Illinois Compiled Statutes, Chapter 720, Illinois Compiled Statutes, Act 5, Section 7-1. Go ahead, get your hand out, and turn to page 8, looking at number 1. Not you, you're recording. That would be crazy. I think I had to tell you that. Laugh a little. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and go to page 8, number 1. All right. Matter of fact, strike that. Page 9, number 4. Page 9, number 4. All right, here we go. Let's go on ahead. In one's personal defense, a person is what?
Justified.
Good. In the use of force against another, when and to the extent that he what?
Reasonably believes.
Good. That such conduct is necessary to what?
Defend
Himself or another against such other's imminent use of unlawful force. However, he is what?
Justified.
Good. Justified in the use of force which is intended or likely to cause what?
Imminent death or great bodily harm.
Good. Only if he reasonably believes such force is necessary to prevent what?
Imminent death or great bodily harm.
To
Himself.
Good. Or another, or the commission of a what?
Forcible felony.
All right, forcible felony. So when we're talking about what gave you the legal justification to feel that you needed to shoot, it's important that you understand when we're talking about the law, let's break it down. In one's personal defense, a person is justified in the use of force against another when and to the extent that you reasonably believe. Now let's stop here. Reasonable belief. Sometimes people will sit there and say, when you tell a person a story, you don't know what happened. You weren't there. You gonna sit here and tell me what happened and whether or not I thought I should have done that? Well, the argument of reasonable belief is this. It's not just your opinion, but if a reasonable, prudent person, someone else, if you told this story to someone else and if we saw the evidence of what happened, would another person or those people come to the same conclusion that you did? That's reasonable belief. So contrary to what you feel, you will be judged by the opinions of other people. Make sense? Reasonable belief, okay? That you reasonably believe that your conduct, what you're about to do in defense of yourself, is necessary to defend yourself or another against that other person's imminent use of unlawful force. Imminent is an adjective. It means that it is about to happen, right? However, you are justified in the use of force which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm. Only if you and anybody else who hears the evidence and hears your story reasonably believe that such force is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm that's imminent from coming to you, someone else, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. It went out, just went out. Forcible felony, okay? So, in looking at this situation, we talk about what is necessary to prevent that imminent death or great bodily harm from occurring to you or to someone else, right? So that's where you get to break off in when. When did you feel the need to have to shoot? Because that's that point where you're going to have to state that, yeah, there were threats, but I didn't feel the need to have to shoot till I saw the gun pointed at me or pointed at somebody else, or until this person who is bigger, larger, taller, or these group of people ran towards me. I felt the need to have to do that. And then when you look at another when did you shoot? As they were running with bats and guns, and I had no other choice. That's when I shot, right? When did you stop shooting? I stopped shooting when the deadly threats stopped being deadly. Either they were down to the ground or you shot, hit one, the other two turned away. Those details are important. Shows that you were able to analyze. It was a rational thought, right? Then you look at where. Where were you in relation to where the deadly threats were? This is important. I go on the range all the time and I see people shooting or having their targets all the way down at the doggone gun range, all the way in the back. How can you justify that something that far away was a deadly threat to you, right? Now, it could have been to somebody else, but you had the ability to be able to close the distance. Because can you shoot that far away and be accurate? That's another question, right? Here we go. Then you're talking about where was the threat in proportion or in relation to where you were. These things are important. Where did you shoot? Did you shoot in the leg? Did you shoot in the arm? Did you shoot in the head? Did you shoot in the torso? We don't shoot in the legs, contrary to popular belief. We don't shoot in the arms. We shoot in the torso. If you look at the laws of physics, the largest part of the body is the torso. The place where most of your organs that keep this deadly, threatening, forward-moving, autonomous object is in the torso. If all of these objects move at the same time, the one that moves the least under stress, that's the easiest to hit, is the torso. So we didn't shoot for the legs, we didn't shoot for the arms, we shot for the torso under stress. Okay? If you look at the why did you shoot? I didn't want to die. It's that simple. I didn't want my mom to die. I didn't want my friend to die. I didn't want my friend to get raped. I didn't want somebody to get harmed. Okay? Then we look at why did you shoot where you shot? Okay, that's simple. We don't shoot for the arms, for the legs, for the head. we shoot for this. I might shoot for the head depending upon how close you are. 2 to 5 yards, if you're that close, it's a failure to stop. Pop, pop, pop. I want you to be, I don't have time to have multiple shots. So I need to have the maximum effect with the minimum time and the minimum amount of rounds because you're too close. Pop, pop, pop. That's it. Stop you right then and there. And if it don't work, pop, 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 pop. Now I feel the need to go more because that didn't work, right? And then there's the how. How did you shoot? This is important. Some people go to the range and they look at those big targets and they keep just shooting, and as long as the bullet hits the paper, they think they're being effective. How did you shoot? That is extremely important. If you don't take your butt on the range and you don't get your shot group tight on the range where there are no real stressors, then in a situation where you're shooting like this all over the place on the range where there are no real stressors, the minute you begin to factor in movement, your shot groups weren't tight under stress where there was no movement. So when there is movement, you're definitely going to miss. You're acting extremely reckless. And that's why you need to get more training. Get on the range. Get into an outdoor range. Take more classes to increase your knowledge and your second nature defense posture, if you will. You know how you think about walking, right? You don't have to think about walking. You desire to walk, you just walk. You've been doing that for all but maybe 6 months of your life. And so because your body has been doing it, it's hardwired to do that naturally. It's second nature. But some people freeze when it's time to do other things that should come second nature because they don't focus on the how did you shoot. Did you shoot recklessly or was it with precision? A surgeon who's going to do surgery on a patient, how did you make the incision? Was it erratic or was it precise? Under the stress of, I got to save this person's life. Does any of this stuff make sense? Absolutely. So you got the who, what, when, where, why, and how. As a recap, here we go. Who was the threat, right? What tool did you use to defend yourself, right? What was the law that gave you permission to take the legal action that you did? What was your justification, right? When you're talking about when did you feel the need to have to shoot? When did you shoot? When did you stop, right? Here we go. Where were you? Where was the threat or threats? Where did you shoot? That's important, okay? Why did you shoot? Why did you shoot where you shot this person? And lastly, how did you shoot? When you talk to an attorney and you explain these things, in my humble opinion, based on education and experience, will give your attorney a great framework upon which to investigate. Because as a former homicide detective, I can tell you we solve homicides, or at least attempt to solve homicides, in a funnel theory. What happened? Because the situation is so broad, we don't know what happened. Why did it happen? We need to know the motive so we can narrow it down to the who did it. All right? This is Instructor Mike, and you've been trained.